One moment changed everything. A veteran intelligence officer sat across from Kang Changong with absolute confidence, calmly explaining how he'd uncovered every move behind two gang wars. According to him, this guy had manipulated rival factions, destroyed a massive drug smuggling operation with nothing more than a single motorcycle, and executed a plan so perfect that even the MSS wanted to recruit him. The scary part, he was completely convinced he was right. Meanwhile, the only thing running through Kang's head wasn't whether he'd been exposed, it was whether they'd somehow discovered the 6.4 billion he'd secretly stolen. One of them believed he'd cornered a legendary mastermind, the other was just relieved. The biggest secret was still safe. How did this misunderstanding become one of the most dangerous alliances in China? To answer that, we have to go back to where this whole story really began. Kang Changong couldn't believe his luck. While serving in the military, he got recommended for a special National Intelligence Service recruitment program that let him skip the civil service exam entirely. His commander congratulated him, joked that he'd always been ridiculously lucky, and sent him off with one last reminder to do his best. Then this guy heard the magic words, double the salary. Bro almost had an orgasm the moment he heard double the salary. 2 years later, that dream job had him living in Dandong, China, getting paid 5 million a month to sit around eating fried pork ribs and staring at surveillance monitors. Some people might call it a waste of tax money, but according to him, he was a satellite-level talent worth hundreds of billions because South Korea was monitoring North Korea through him. Bro, that's the same energy as me making absolute peak videos for you guys. His entire job was watching the Amnok River Bridge, the only major route keeping North Korea alive under heavy UN and US sanctions after its nuclear and missile tests. Instead of relying on satellites worth hundreds of billions, South Korea had Kang glued to a monitor watching every vehicle that crossed the bridge. His peaceful routine ended the second someone unlocked his apartment door. Kang instantly pulled a silenced pistol and aimed it at the newcomer, only to relax when he recognized Old Man Choi, his veteran NIS senior. The old man acted like having a gun pointed at his face was completely normal and simply invited him out for dongpo pork. While eating, Choi casually asked whether a truck with the license plate Pyeongbuk 9330 had shown up. Kang confirmed it still hadn't appeared, and Choi immediately warned him to report it the moment he saw it because something about the truck felt wrong. Choi explained that Dandong wasn't just another Chinese city. It was a powder keg where intelligence agencies from South Korea, the US, China, Russia, Japan, powerful Triads, and North Korea's secret Room 39 organization all operated in the shadows. One mistake here could shake the entire world. Kang looked slightly worried until Choi revealed the real reason he called them out. There was a Triad drug deal happening that night, and he wanted Kang to sneak over and take photos. Kang immediately protested because he wasn't a combat agent. He was a pigeon, an undercover intelligence officer, not one of the field operatives who actually fought people. Choi ignored every complaint and casually offered a 5 million overtime bonus. Bro heard 5 million and suddenly remembered he had the soul of a Special Forces soldier. That night, Kang hid in the grass, overlooking the deal with a professional camera and started taking pictures from a safe distance. The exchange looked routine until he zoomed in on one of the trucks. The license plate read, Pyeongbuk 90-3030, the exact truck Old Man Choi had been waiting for. Kang immediately realized he'd stumbled onto a meeting involving North Korea's secret Room 39 organization and tried to report it before slipping away. He never got the chance. A pistol pressed against the side of his head. The man behind him instantly realized something was wrong with Kang's accent. Bro's undercover identity expired the moment he opened his mouth. Kang quickly looked around for an escape route, only to discover several more armed soldiers surrounding him with rifles and shotguns. Realizing he was completely trapped, this menace immediately threw his hands up and desperately claimed he was just a tourist. That excuse didn't convince anyone. A massive Triad leader walked over, demanded to know why a South Korean was spying on Chinese soil, and kicked Kang's expensive camera into the dirt. Panicking, Kang blurted out that he was only photographing migratory birds. Yeah, with a lens expensive enough to photograph the moon's Wi-Fi password. Nobody believed him. The Triad boss called him a government agent and ordered his men to attach a silencer before executing him on the spot. As Kang watched the suppressor get screwed onto the pistol aimed at his forehead, he couldn't help regretting taking this mission just because of a 5 million bonus. The executioner tightened his finger on the trigger. Right before the shot, Kang's terrified expression disappeared. The reason he had been specially recruited into the NIS wasn't because he was lucky. Before becoming a low-level intelligence employee, Kang Changong had been a special warfare command sergeant so dangerous that even his own military called him a monster. The executioner fired. Kang moved first. He slipped inside the gun's line of fire before the bullet could hit, caught the shooter's wrist, and redirected the weapon straight upward. Without wasting a second, this walking cheat code twisted the man's arm behind his back and forced the pistol toward another guard. The gun fired. The second operative took the bullet instead. Keeping complete control of the first guard, Kang used him as cover while more enemies opened fire from the darkness. Bullets ripped through the grass, but he stayed behind his captive, snapped the man's arm into a restraint lock, and stole control of the pistol. Then he fired back. Every shot landed, one guard dropped, another collapsed moments later. The remaining soldiers barely had time to react before Kang disappeared through the darkness, using the falling bodies as cover while picking them off with flawless precision. The final guard froze the moment Kang appeared right in front of him. One last shot ended the fight. Within seconds, every enemy lying in the grass was dead. Kang looked toward the main transaction site and realized the gunfire had alerted everyone below. Both the Triads and Room 39 would be heading straight for his position. He let out a tired sigh. Cleaning this mess up was going to be annoying. Then he calmly raised his silenced pistol toward the approaching reinforcements. Should he just kill them all? Those poor bastards are way beyond cooked now. The moment Kang finished wiping out the scouts, gunfire suddenly erupted from the transaction site. Instead of charging after him, the Triads and the North Korean operatives started unloading on each other. Kang ducked behind cover, completely confused. He had been preparing for a hopeless 30 against 1 fight and was already planning to steal an AK from one of the corpses before creating a distraction. But now, the battlefield had descended into complete chaos all by itself. Curious, he picked up his camera and zoomed back in on the deal. Through the lens, he watched both factions tearing each other apart. Only then did it click. The North Koreans must have heard the gunshots from the hill and assumed the Triads had betrayed them. Meanwhile, the Triads heard the North Koreans returning fire and naturally assumed they were the ones being ambushed. Or maybe, neither side had planned to honor the deal in the first place. Either way, Kang had somehow become the only winner. Bro accidentally unlocked the "let them fight" ending. Since everyone was busy killing each other, Kang calmly grabbed an abandoned AK and walked straight into the battlefield. Bodies from both sides covered the ground. His original mission had been taking photos, but now he figured he might as well investigate what had actually happened before leaving. As he looked around the abandoned gas station, one thought crossed his mind. These lunatics had chosen to have a full-scale gunfight at a gas station. These dudes saw every safety warning ever made and treated it like a checklist. While searching for anything worth reporting, Kang suddenly froze. Something caught his eye. The story briefly flashed back to his military days. Back then, his former commander had been telling another officer why Kang Changong was considered an absolute legend. Sure, his combat skills were monstrous, but that wasn't the main reason. It was his completely broken luck. One day, he casually walked into headquarters, saluted, and announced he'd recovered a shipment of stolen military supplies. When his commander asked how he'd managed that impossible feat, Kang simply replied that he found them on the way. Bro's daily commute has better loot than 99% of RPG side quests. Another time, he walked in dragging one of the military's most wanted terrorists behind him. Again, the commander asked how. Kang answered that he'd run into the guy while grocery shopping. Then came the hostage rescue. Before Kang could even explain how he did it, the commander immediately cut him off because every single report somehow ended with, "I got lucky." At this point, even HR would have stopped asking for incident reports. Back in the present, Kang finally realized what had caught his attention. A military briefcase. He opened it. It was packed from edge to edge with crisp $100 bills, around $2 million. After doing the conversion in his head, his brain completely shut down. 4 billion won. Bro's pupils turned into tax brackets the second he did the math. He immediately started grabbing handfuls of cash, staring at it with sparkling eyes before pressing the stacks right against his face and taking the deepest sniff imaginable. Bro wasn't checking if the money was real. He was trying to memorize the cent. When he realized that was roughly twice the value of a first-place lottery jackpot, he almost descended on the spot. Thankfully, the professional spy inside him barely managed to wake up before his inner goblin took over. He shook his head violently. Focus. First, erase every trace. He destroyed every CCTV camera around the gas station, then sprayed the monitoring room with enough bullets to make sure nobody would ever recover the footage. After that, he buried both the money and the drugs nearby before covering everything back up. The entire time, he happily hummed to himself while digging. Bro's gardening hobby escalated way faster than expected. Mission complete. Or more accurately, cover-up complete. As Kang sped away on his motorcycle, one question refused to leave his head. Should he tell Old Man Choi about the 4 billion won? His younger siblings back in Korea had grown up without parents, constantly struggling to survive. That money could change every one of their lives forever. Eventually, temptation won. He convinced himself to stay quiet. After all, he'd destroyed every nearby camera. Nobody would ever know. Bro forgot the universe has been spectating him since Chapter 1. Not even a few minutes later, reality punched him in the face. An upper-level NIS safe house had been attacked. The streets were filled with security personnel and emergency responders. Kang rushed over, only to see a stretcher. On it lay Old Man Choi. The veteran Black Ops agent who had spent 20 years building South Korea's intelligence network in China was dead. As they pulled the sheet over his face, Kang realized something far worse than losing his only ally. The human network had been exposed, and if Choi's contacts had been compromised, that meant every trace leading to Kang Changong could already be in enemy hands. Standing alone in a foreign country, Kang understood one brutal truth. If he didn't escape China immediately, he was the next target. With Old Man Choi dead, Kang Changong remembered one final emergency protocol. If the agent above your reporting line disappears, run to the designated safe house. He immediately rode to Dalian, found the emergency contact point, and activated the hidden SOS code through a public phone. When the operator answered, Kang identified himself as Dandong Pigeon 5 before reporting the worst possible news. Pigeon 2, Old Man Choi, was dead. He barely had time to explain that his identity was probably compromised before someone grabbed him. The next thing Kang knew, he was sitting inside a moving vehicle with his hands locked in handcuffs while a silenced pistol was pointed directly at his face. After surviving Triads, North Korean operatives, and a 30-man firefight, this was the welcome party his own organization prepared. Kang finally lost his patience. Is this some kind of initiation rite? Bro got the premium airport security package. The agents completely ignored his complaint. Instead, they demanded his fingerprint. One of them pressed his thumb against a biometric scanner, verified his identity as Dandong Pigeon 5, and only then lowered the gun. They apologized, claiming it was simply a security procedure. Kang had barely relaxed, before someone immediately pulled a black hood over his head. The truss lasted exactly 3 business seconds. After a long drive, they arrived at the safe house. The hood finally came off, revealing nothing more than a tiny holding room. The agents uncuffed him, pointed out the bathroom, ordered him not to leave under any circumstances, and told him to get some sleep because headquarters would speak to him in the morning. That night, sleep wasn't exactly easy. Lying on the mattress, Kang kept replaying everything that had happened. Old Man Choi had been murdered on the same day as the shootout. There was an extremely high chance the assassins were connected to that incident. And if they eliminated Choi, there was every reason to eliminate Choi's direct subordinate next. If he couldn't leave China, he was dead. Still, he clung to one last hope. Surely the NIS would get him out safely. Morning came. The meeting did not go how he expected. The moment headquarters informed him he would immediately return to work, Kang exploded. He slammed the table and demanded to know whether they'd all gone insane. His identity might have been exposed. His workplace might already be compromised. Sending him back was basically ordering him to die. The senior official listened without changing his expression, then calmly answered. Headquarters had determined he was perfectly safe. Kang couldn't believe what he was hearing. What exactly is that conclusion based on? The official looked him straight in the eyes. Because you're just a low-level NIS employee. Silence. Complete silence. Imagine surviving assassins just to get one-shotted by your annual performance review. The official patiently explained that everyone already knew South Korea had agents monitoring the Amnok River Bridge, China, North Korea, even several foreign intelligence agencies. They all knew someone like Kang existed, but nobody cared enough to kill him. Eliminating a low-level observer offered almost no benefit. It was simply more trouble than it was worth. Khan's pride took critical damage. He desperately pointed at himself. Hold on. America uses satellites. I'm basically replacing satellites. I'm important. The official nodded. Every employee was important. Then delivered another emotional execution. If you disappear, we'll simply replace you with another employee. Bro found out he's running on the free trial version of employment. His soul left his body. The meeting ended with perhaps the most heartless management advice ever given. So, just go back to work. By sunset, Kang had returned to his apartment. Not because he wanted to, because headquarters had basically told him his life wasn't valuable enough for evacuation. He collapsed onto the couch surrounded by beer cans, questioning every life decision that had brought him here. Was he really that insignificant? Eventually, the humiliation became too much. He buried his face in the couch and started quietly crying, not because someone wanted him dead, because, apparently, nobody even considered him worth assassinating. 5 minutes ago, he was begging not to die. Now he's offended nobody wants to. Unfortunately for Kang, the universe immediately decided to prove headquarters wrong. 2 figures silently slipped into his apartment. One raised a heavy axe, the other pulled out a knife. Neither made a sound. Still crying into the couch, Kang remained completely unaware while absent-mindedly chewing on a strip of beef jerky. The lead assassin swung the axe with everything he had. The blade came crashing down and cleanly sliced the beef jerky in half. That beef jerky just made the ultimate sacrifice. The assassins blinked. Their target had vanished. Looking down, they found Kang calmly crouching beside the couch, not checking for enemies, not reaching for a weapon, just quietly picking up the pieces of his fallen beef jerky. Bro's priorities are built in the wrong order. The room fell silent. Then, Kang slowly stood up. His miserable expression disappeared. A terrifying grin spread across his face. His eyes glowed with pure killing intent. The same man who had spent all morning crying because nobody thought he was important now looked like the devil himself. Congratulations. You just made the not-worth-killing employee take it personally. Back at the Black Dragon Society's Dandong branch, someone was having an extremely bad day. A terrified thug knelt on the floor with a bloody axe hanging inches above his head, while desperately swearing he'd never sell drugs inside Black Dragon Society territory again. Standing over him was the branch manager himself, Wang Yudong. The man wanted to know one thing. Did this idiot steal the drugs that disappeared from the gas station? The thug immediately denied everything. According to him, they had only been moving smuggled Malaysian drugs. He had absolutely nothing to do with whatever happened at the gas station, and he definitely wasn't suicidal enough to steal from the Black Dragon Society. Then he accidentally confessed the real reason he was there. He'd simply been trying to earn some extra money. Bro risked getting executed for the world's worst side hustle. Fortunately for him, the vice branch manager, Wu Shi, inspected the drugs and confirmed they weren't Black Dragon Society merchandise. The quality was different, meaning the thug had probably been telling the truth. Wang Yudong smiled. Fine, I'll believe you. The terrified man nearly burst into tears from relief. Bro believed him the same way YouTube believes Skip Ad. The next second, Wang Yudong buried the axe straight into him anyway. Blood covered the room. Apparently, I believe you and I'm letting you live were two completely different conversations. Standing over the corpse, Wang Yudong declared that while the Triads ruled China, the Black Dragon Society ruled Liaoning province. Someone had attacked their gas station operation, stolen both the drugs and the cash, and even killed the Koreans connected to that old NIS agent. He wanted every suspect captured, alive, because he planned to peel their faces off personally. Bro isn't looking for revenge anymore. He's looking for customer support. The story then jumped back to Kang's apartment, right after the assassination attempt. The first attacker charged with an axe. Kang stepped inside the swing before it could build any momentum, ripped the weapon out of the assassin's hands with a perfectly timed interception, and drove a crushing punch into his body, before the poor guy could recover. A second fist smashed directly into his face and launched him across the room. The second assassin immediately tried taking advantage of the opening. He rushed in from behind with a knife aimed straight for Kang's throat. Bad idea. Kang caught the attack with one hand, trapped the wrist, and smoothly flowed into a textbook shoulder throw that slammed the assassin onto the floor hard enough to knock every remaining thought out of his head. A few moments later, both assassins woke up, tied together, completely helpless. One of them immediately started screaming, "Untie me." Kang thought about it for approximately 0 seconds. No, negotiations ended before they even downloaded. The thug then tried a different strategy. He proudly announced that he was Fan Zhendong, the second in command of the Brown Bear Gang. Kang's response: "Sure." Bro announced his resume to someone who clearly didn't update that DLC. Fan continued threatening him, proudly explaining that the Brown Bear Gang operated under the protection of the Black Dragon Society. That finally caught Kang's attention. Black Dragon Society, a subordinate organization of the Triads. The thug immediately mistook Kang's curiosity for fear and started acting even tougher. Big mistake. Kang calmly explained the hierarchy back to him. "So you're a subcontractor, working under another subcontractor. Who's working under the Triads?" Bro demoted his entire criminal organization into a family-owned startup. Then Kang leaned forward and completely destroyed whatever dignity Fan had left. "How am I supposed to know some executive from a tiny company? Even an all-knowing AI wouldn't know who you are. And stop asking people if they know you. No one knows you except your mother." That wasn't an insult. Bro submitted a full character assassination. The once confident gangster instantly changed his attitude. Instead of acting tough, he awkwardly complimented Kang's Chinese. Funny how fluency becomes terrifying when it's attached to someone threatening to crush your face with a dumbbell. After interrogating both men, Kang finally pieced everything together. The Brown Bear Gang had only been sent after the Koreans connected to Old Man Choi. They had no idea Kang was actually the one who stole the drugs and $2 million from the gas station. Unfortunately, that good news lasted about 3 seconds, because Kang had just kidnapped the Brown Bear Gang's second-in-command, meaning the Black Dragon Society, and eventually, the Triads, would definitely come after him now. Kang quietly accepted reality. He was actually going to die this time. Bro really looked at every bad decision this week and clicked accept all. He immediately sent headquarters a request to shut down the base before the enemy found it. After all, once the base closed, he could disappear from China. A notification arrived almost immediately. Kang smiled with hope, then opened the message. His smile vanished. Base closure. Denied. Headquarters had learned that the leader of North Korea's Room 39 would soon cross the bridge because of the recent gas station incident, which meant the surveillance mission had suddenly become even more important. Instead of evacuating, They ordered Kang to remain exactly where he was and continue taking photographs. Bro's manager saw the death flags and replied, "Noted. Please finish today's tasks first." Kang buried his face in his hands. This entire disaster was technically his fault. Just then, voices echoed from outside his apartment. Someone entered the building. The electronic lock clicked. Kang calmly walked over and opened the door. Standing outside was a red-haired Black Dragon Society enforcer holding a knife. Behind him stood an entire crowd of armed gangsters filling the hallway. Apparently, the delivery service had arrived. These morons just keep delivering themselves straight to the boss fight. Kang couldn't help comparing his life to the spy movies. In films, intelligence agents were always elegant, cool, discreet, the kind of people who walked into fancy parties wearing tuxedos while fireworks exploded behind them. Kang admitted he'd at least managed to become the good-looking part. Everything else, not so much. Instead of glamorous espionage, he was standing in a green tracksuit surrounded by gangsters who apparently believed yelling your resume counted as psychological warfare. Right outside his apartment stood the leader of the Brown Bear Gang, Wang Chujin. He shoved a switchblade into Kang's face and proudly announced exactly who he was before screaming the question every criminal in this series seemed contractually obligated to ask. "Do you even know who I am?" Kang's only thought was, who the hell is this guy? Bro skipped the villain introduction and went straight to the boss fight, instead of answering. Kang laughed. That was enough. Wang Chujin exploded with rage and slashed toward his neck. Kang casually slipped underneath the blade, redirected the attack with one hand, and immediately drove a crushing punch into Chujin's body. The gang leader was launched clear out into the hallway, seeing their boss fly like a defective firework. 3 more gangsters rushed inside. One swung a club. Kang stepped inside the swing and knocked his teeth loose with a single punch. The second tried attacking. 1 hook, lights out. The third jumped down with a hammer raised overhead. Kang ducked, then answered with an uppercut powerful enough to launch the poor guy into low orbit. Within seconds, 4 gangsters were lying unconscious. The rest froze in the hallway. One of them couldn't even process what he'd just witnessed. This isn't a movie, exactly. It wasn't. Bro's recruitment campaign ended in under 10 seconds. Kang calmly picked up the dropped hammer, accepted that real life wasn't nearly as glamorous as the movies, and prepared for the next attacker. Instead, someone familiar appeared. Peregrine Falcon 9, an elite NIS Black Ops combat specialist personally sent by headquarters. He had driven through the night just to support Kang during the Room 39 mission. The moment he stepped inside, he looked around the apartment, then immediately started yelling. Apparently that was his preferred greeting. Bro didn't even say hello. He opened with the DLC lecture pack. Falcon 9 tore into Kang without mercy. The first rule of intelligence work was simple: don't get caught. Yet somehow this rookie had exposed the safe house, attracted gangsters, and turned the entire operation into a disaster. Kang tried explaining. The apartment belonged to Old Man Choi. The Brown Bear Gang came because of him, and headquarters had ordered Kang to stay here. Falcon 9 wasn't interested. After forcing Kang to apologize properly, he asked the only question that actually mattered. Had headquarters' surveillance mission been completed? Thankfully, yes. Kang had already photographed the Room 39 target and sent everything back. At least something had gone according to plan. Then Kang admitted, there was just one tiny problem. He opened another room. Inside were all the captured gangsters. Falcon 9 nearly had a heart attack. He immediately screamed that Kang had exposed his own face to every single prisoner. Kang blinked. Oh, right, I guess they did see my face. Falcon 9 looked like his blood pressure had officially entered another dimension without another word. He pulled out a silenced pistol, screwed on the suppressor, and announced that he'd clean up the mess himself. As for Kang, he was fired. Leave China tomorrow and never come back. Bro got fired so fast the paperwork is still buffering. Kang's world shattered. Not because he loved being an intelligence agent, but because of one very important detail. His 24 billion won was still buried near that gas station. There was absolutely no way he could quit now. Bro's loyalty isn't to the NIS anymore, it's to a hole in the ground. Before either of them could continue, Falcon 9 looked back inside the storage room, then froze. Headquarters had reported 2 captured gangsters. There weren't 2 anymore. There were around 17. Falcon 9 stared at Kang, then back at the room, then back at Kang again. Bro came expecting 2 guests and found the entire criminal waiting room. Completely losing his mind, Falcon 9 screamed that executing 17 civilians wasn't intelligence work anymore. That was terrorism. Bro promoted himself from employee to international incident. Then he demanded the obvious question. How exactly are you planning to fix this? Kang quietly thought for a moment, then smiled. I have a way, a quiet way. Whenever Bro says I have an idea, someone's insurance premium goes up. He casually reached up and started turning one of the ceiling valves while laughing to himself. The moment Bro touched that valve, OSHA collectively felt a disturbance. Falcon 9 slowly looked at Kang, looked at the valve, then realized this rookie wasn't just reckless, he was completely insane. Bro came to rescue a rookie and accidentally adopted a war crime generator. While Falcon 9 was wondering whether his new junior had completely lost his mind, the Brown Bear gang was having their own crisis. Still tied up inside the storage room, Wang Chujin ordered everyone to escape somehow. Because if they failed this mission, they weren't just afraid of Kang anymore. They were afraid of Wang Yudong. Compared to that psychopath, dying here might actually be the kinder option. One of the gangsters asked the obvious question: even if they escaped, how are they supposed to beat the guy who flattened 17 people by himself? Before anyone could answer, the storage room door suddenly swung open. Hope flashed across Chujin's face. "Hey, if you let us go now." A stream of gasoline landed directly on his head. He froze. Gasoline. Standing outside the room, Kang calmly continued pouring fuel over every captive, then casually explained why. "Since you've seen my face, I can't let you live." Bro turned witness protection into witness deletion. Chujin screamed while gasoline ran down his face. Kang calmly pulled out a Zippo lighter. With one click, a tiny flame appeared. Then he smiled. "Die, you combustible trash." Bro unlocked the premium arson dialogue pack. The chapter then rewound 10 minutes. Right after Falcon 9 had witnessed Kang dragging out the gasoline can, Falcon asked the completely reasonable question, "What exactly are you planning to do with that?" Kang proudly answered, "I'm going to ask the Brown Bear gang how we should solve this." Falcon blinked. "Why not ask headquarters?" "No, I'm asking them." Apparently, Kang believed gasoline made people think faster, so he walked into the storage room carrying both the fuel can and a lighter. After soaking everyone in gasoline, he politely asked them to explain why they deserved to keep breathing. Naturally, everyone started screaming. Chujin desperately asked why Kang wanted to kill them. Kang gave the simplest answer imaginable. They had seen his face. Chujin tried defending himself. "You showed us your face. You didn't even try hiding it." Kang responded with the same sentence. "You saw my face. But you saw my face. We weren't trying to. You saw my face." Bro really blamed the security camera after posing for the selfie. At that exact moment, something inside Wang Chujin broke. He realized reasoning with Kang was completely impossible. Trying to negotiate with him was like debating a grizzly bear holding both gasoline and a lighter. Bro finally figured out the boss has negative dialogue options. Chujin immediately abandoned all pride. He apologized, promised complete silence, swore the Brown Bear gang would never mention today's events. Kang opened the lighter again. "I'm not buying it. Goodbye." That tiny flame instantly multiplied Chujin's IQ. "Wait, just give me 1 minute. I'll think of something." Bro's IQ hit Mach 5 the moment he smelled premium gasoline. Back in the present, Falcon 9 finally understood what Kang had been doing. He wasn't trying to burn them alive. He was forcing them to invent their own survival plan. Falcon mentally followed Kang's logic. If the Brown Bear gang simply reported that one man defeated 17 members, the Black Dragon Society would never forgive them. They'd become laughingstocks, maybe even examples, which meant keeping Kang's identity secret actually protected their own lives. Kang added one final condition. If they couldn't provide a reason for him to trust them, they would still die. Another click of the Zippo. Another panic attack. This time, Chujin finally found the answer. He'd reveal everything he knew about the Black Dragon Society. Kang could film the confession. If every captured member appeared in that recording, then exposing it would destroy every single one of them. Nobody would dare betray Kang, because the recording would become everyone's mutual death sentence. Kang stared at him. "So, I'm holding all of your lives in my hands. You okay with that?" Chujin looked around at the gasoline, then back at the lighter. "Isn't that already our situation?" Kang nodded. "Fair point." Bro accidentally pitched the world's most terrifying NDA. After thinking it through, Kang realized this actually solved several problems. He still needed to stay in China long enough to recover his hidden 4 billion won. He wanted to continue investigating Old Man Choi's drug case, and if these gangsters stayed quiet, he'd gain valuable time. Falcon 9 listened silently, thought everything over, then finally nodded. The plan actually worked. Kang immediately smiled. "Perfect. I'll start filming." Bro got promoted from terrorist suspect to project manager in 30 seconds. As Falcon prepared the camera, he couldn't stop analyzing the rookie standing in front of him. Kang had exposed both himself and the safe house. An unforgivable mistake for an intelligence agent. But he had also defeated 17 armed gangsters by himself. He prevented any civilian casualties. He'd turned those enemies into unwilling intelligence assets. He gathered information on the Black Dragon Society. And despite everything, he had still completed headquarters surveillance mission. Falcon honestly couldn't decide what he was looking at. Was this rookie a complete disaster or an S-rank genius? Bro's resume is so cursed HR had to create a new performance rating. The recording finally began. Kang politely introduced the interview. "State your name and occupation." The once proud Brown Bear gang leader answered with all the confidence of someone soaked in gasoline. Leader of the Brown Bear gang, Wang Chujin. Kang smiled. I heard you're going to tell me some secrets today. Jess. By the way, you guys are really terrible at fighting. You lost 17 versus 1. Chujin almost died from embarrassment. Please, Jess, keep that part a secret. Kang couldn't resist teasing him. Aw, are you embarrassed? You're such a fragile little man. Bro really turned the interrogation into a post-match press conference. Watching everything through the camera, Falcon slowly lowered it, held his forehead, and reached one unavoidable conclusion. The NIS had hired an absolute lunatic. Bro came to supervise a rookie. Now he's supervising a natural disaster. Back at NIS headquarters, the higher-ups were reviewing the latest intelligence from Dandong. Pigeon 5 had successfully completed the surveillance mission. He had secretly photographed a high-ranking leader from North Korea's infamous Room 39, which immediately raised one huge question. Why would someone that important move personally? The analysts believed everything traced back to one event, the gas station incident. For some reason, Room 39 and the Triads had suddenly started fighting each other. During the chaos, someone stole 20 kilograms of drugs, $2 million, and erased every trace of themselves. The analysts narrowed it down to two possibilities. Either one of the organizations secretly orchestrated the entire incident themselves, or there was a third party, one highly trained individual, someone capable of manipulating both sides, taking the money, and disappearing without leaving a single clue. Director Nam Wonbong wasn't happy. If the second theory was true, they were dealing with someone on the level of legendary assassins like Baba Yaga or Agent 47. Meanwhile, our boy's biggest motivation is still a suitcase buried in the dirt. The director immediately gave new orders. Forget the mystery for now. Capturing the Room 39 leader came first. Every available NIS agent in the region was mobilized. Meanwhile, back in Dandong, the Brown Bear gang was causing another public disturbance. Their car completely blocked the entrance to an apartment building. Two elderly shop owners politely asked them to move it. Wang Chujin's response was threatening to ruin both their businesses and their lives. Unfortunately for him, a familiar green tracksuit appeared behind him. One punch later, he hit the ground. Confused, Chujin looked up. Who's there? Kang looked down at him with absolutely zero emotion. Death. Bro skipped the dialogue tree and selected the secret fourth option. Chujin still hadn't learned his lesson. He started yelling about respecting your elders. Kang immediately grabbed him by the hair and forced him to apologize, then ordered him to move the car. Seconds later, the feared gang leader was bowing to two old men. I'm sorry. The shop owners watched everything in complete confusion. One of them even commented that the guy living on the fourth floor seemed perfectly normal. But his friend definitely wasn't. The funniest part. The moment Kang turned toward them, his entire personality changed. He bowed politely, apologized with the brightest smile imaginable, then explained. My friend was homeschooled. Bro switched from demon mode to customer service in under 2 seconds. Watching everything from a rooftop, Falcon 9 silently questioned every career decision that had brought him here. Later, the two agents stopped by a local restaurant. The waitress, Ling Ling, immediately recognized Kang. The two casually chatted like old friends while Falcon quietly observed. Most undercover agents tried to erase their presence. Kang somehow blended in so naturally. He looked like he'd lived there his entire life. Bro's undercover level is so high even Google Maps thinks he lives here. After Ling Ling left, Falcon finally got serious. He reminded Kang of the NIS motto. We work in the shadows to serve the light, the real meaning. An intelligence agent should never get caught. Because Kang had exposed both his face and the safe house, he technically deserved immediate disqualification. But his abilities were simply too valuable, so Falcon offered him one final chance. A new operation had just begun. If Kang failed, he had to leave China forever. Kang laughed awkwardly. Do I even have a choice? No. Bro got handed the illusion of free will. Out loud, Kang immediately switched into perfect employee mode. No, sir. If you tell me to jump, I'll ask how high. The second Falcon looked away. Kang's smile disappeared. His expression turned deadly serious. No matter what happened, he would finish this mission. Let's be honest, half of that determination is still buried with the 4 billion won. The chapter then shifted to another NIS safe house disguised as a local bar. New agents were gathering after headquarters' full mobilization order. One senior agent warned a rookie not to break protocol, specifically, never use real names. A second later, Pigeon 1 walked over, ignored every single rule, and started calling everyone by random names anyway. The rookie just stood there in disbelief. Apparently, protocol only existed until Pigeon 1 got involved. Bro's witness protection program is sponsored by Pure Vibes. The rookie accepted his randomly assigned nickname. Right before someone called Sam Sun was asked to bring drinks, he quietly laughed to himself. What kind of name is Sam Sun? Then the kitchen door opened. Out walked an incredibly beautiful woman carrying the beers. The rookie instantly forgot everything he'd just said, apparently. Samsun was suddenly the greatest name he'd ever heard. Bro's standards folded faster than the Geneva Convention in this Manhwa. The Black Dragon Society was having a very bad day. Wang Yudong had already beaten every suspicious person he could find, and still had no clue who stole the drugs and money from the gas station. At this point, he wanted answers from room 39 itself. If that incident wasn't a setup, someone needed to explain exactly what had happened. Then Wu Shi arrived with new information. The leader of room 39, Director Choi, had finally arrived in Dandong. Wang Yudong immediately stood up. Perfect. Now he'd finally get some answers. Unfortunately, Director Choi's first message wasn't an apology, it was an invoice. Apparently, since the disaster happened inside Black Dragon Society territory, they should compensate room 39 for the damages. Wang Yudong genuinely wondered if everyone around him had collectively lost their minds. Then he completely snapped. It's war. Bro went from negotiating to declaring World War III in one business meeting. His subordinates immediately prepared for battle. Then Wu Shi quietly reminded him headquarters had already made the decision. Shenyang ordered them to cooperate. If they failed to deliver North Korea's drugs to Incheon on time, they'd lose the Korean market. So instead of starting a war, they had to smile, pay compensation, and buy Director Choi's drugs. Wang Yudong looked like his blood pressure had officially resigned. In pure frustration, he smashed his desk into pieces with one punch. That table filed for retirement the moment Bro clenched his fist. Then he blamed everything on the mysterious thief from the gas station. Thankfully, Chinese public security had nearly finished analyzing the CCTV footage. Soon, they'd finally have the thief's face. Meanwhile, at the Forest Pass bar, Kang officially introduced himself to the other NIS agents. I'm Pigeon 5. One of the agents immediately laughed. You don't look like a pigeon, you look more like a falcon. Bro sounds like the least intimidating Pokemon evolution. Then, Pigeon 3 appeared. She introduced herself while carrying beers to the table. Pigeon 1 proudly introduced everyone. This is Sam's son. Immediately, Pigeon 3 exploded. Why was everyone else getting normal names? While she was stuck being called Sam's son, Pigeon 1 defended himself with complete confidence. Apparently, it was the name of a famous drama heroine from his generation. She was not convinced. Imagine risking your life as a secret agent just to get patched with that username, watching everyone argue. Kang relaxed. He'd been nervous about meeting other agents, but these people actually seemed pretty nice. Then the grumpy senior beside him suddenly turned around. What are you looking at, you piece of? Never mind. Bro celebrated finding normal coworkers exactly 3 business seconds too early. Pigeon 1 quickly gathered everyone for tomorrow's operation. The target was the same Room 39 leader Kang had photographed earlier. Apparently, rumors about the gas station incident had spread everywhere. Someone had stolen millions of dollars, along with a massive shipment of drugs. Kang quietly sipped his beer, without saying a single word. Bro's acting surprised like the suitcase isn't waiting for him underground. The mission itself was straightforward. The Room 39 leader was staying at the Xianwei Hotel before he could meet the Black Dragon Society. The NIS planned to kidnap him. Kang's assignment was simple: disguise himself as a hotel guest, photograph the target's face, and if the target moved, follow him. Kang raised one concern: his camera was way too large. Did anyone have something smaller? Pigeon 1 simply smiled. Sam, son, help him. Pigeon 3 walked over, leaning so close that Kang completely stopped functioning. She wasn't flirting, she was just trying to hide a body camera inside his clothes. Kang, however, was experiencing a completely different reality. She calmly adjusted his jacket. He silently reconsidered every life decision he'd ever made. A few chapters ago, he was ready to quit the NIS the moment he recovered his buried fortune. Now, maybe staying employed wasn't such a terrible idea after all. Bro saw one baddie and instantly renewed his contract. The next day, at the Xianwei Hotel, Wang Yudong arrived with his men to meet Director Choi. At almost the exact same moment, Wu Shi handed him the long-awaited photograph from public security. The thief's identity had finally been uncovered. Smiling viciously, Wang Yudong promised he'd skin that thief alive. Little does Bro know, the thief is literally one elevator ride away. The elevator doors opened. Standing inside was Kang Changong. Wang Yudong looked down at the freshly printed photograph, then back up at Kang's face. Found you. The moment those elevator doors opened, Kang Changong and Wang Yudong locked eyes. Neither of them moved. Kang immediately noticed the men surrounding Wang. No matter how you looked at them, they were gangsters. Don't tell me that's the Black Dragon Society. Meanwhile, Wang Yudong stared at Kang. Something about this random tourist felt strangely familiar. Through Kang's earpiece, Sam's son nearly screamed. Act natural, like a South Korean tourist. Kang's survival instincts kicked in. He pointed dramatically across the lobby. I fund it, the cafe famous for strawberry cake. Bro started role-playing as a travel influencer to survive. For one terrifying second, it actually worked. Then Wang suddenly grabbed his shoulder. Kang nearly had a heart attack. Thankfully, one of Wang's own men interrupted, instead of questioning Kang. He complained that Kang was holding the elevator. Sam's son immediately reminded him again, act like a tourist. Kang instantly transformed. I can't speak Chinese. Please don't hit me. Then, for absolutely no reason, he started yelling, China is the best. Malatang tang huru huru. Bro invented an entire language just to avoid getting stabbed. After watching that performance, Wang Yudong finally looked back at the surveillance photo, then at Kang. Never mind, just another idiot. The Black Dragon Society left, but Wang wasn't done. Once the meeting with Director Choi finished, he wanted public security to trace the motorcycle's license plate. Then, he personally killed a gas station thief. Outside, Kang immediately contacted Sam's son. Those guys, were they the Black Dragon Society? She confirmed it. Wang Yudong, the Dandong branch manager, and Wu Shi, the vice branch manager. The clothes are fighting for their lives in every single panel. The moment Kang heard Wang Yudong's name, everything clicked. That was the man who murdered Old Man Choi. Kang's expression completely changed. At the same time, the NIS operation continued. Director Choi had already finished meeting with the Black Dragon Society. Now the mission entered its next phase. Tail the target, wait until he was isolated, then kidnap him. Everyone would move. Only after Kang gave the signal, Kang quietly followed Director Choi's car on his motorcycle. Unfortunately, someone else was following him, inside another car. Wang Yudong spotted the exact same motorcycle from the hotel parking lot. Luck had finally smiled on him. He immediately ordered his men to ram the motorcycle, throw the rider into the trunk, and drag him back alive. Before they could move, Wu Shi noticed something terrifying. The motorcycle wasn't traveling alone, it was following Director Choi. Wang Yudong's eyes widened. The gas station thief was traveling with Room 39. That could only mean one thing: they were working together. Bro connected the dots. Unfortunately, they were the wrong dots. Instead of attacking, Wang ordered everyone to follow. Director Choi wasn't having a much better day. Looking behind him, he saw both Kang and the Black Dragon Society. He couldn't understand why anyone was chasing him. Meanwhile, Kang finally noticed headlights closing in behind him. He immediately called Sam's son. Someone from the hotel is chasing me. Bro somehow became the filling in the world's deadliest sandwich. Sam's son asked for the license plate. A few seconds later, she nearly jumped out of her chair. The car behind Kang belonged to Wang Yudong. Back on the highway, Kang's brain finally connected everything. Wait, the Black Dragon Society, the stolen drugs, the buried money. Oh, right, he robbed them. Bro finally remembered the tiny detail where he stole 5 billion won. His mind immediately replayed that glorious day, finding the suitcase, counting the money, laughing like a complete maniac, thinking he just won the lottery. Past Bro really spent future Bro's survival budget. Back in reality, Kang realized something horrifying. If Wang Yudong caught him, he definitely wasn't getting a quick death. Complete panic took over. He twisted the throttle as hard as he could, started screaming, started crying, started speaking in sounds that no known language could identify. Bro's brain officially blue-screened. Behind him, the Black Dragon Society was calling in every available member. Ahead of him, Director Choi's men were racing toward their armed safe house. And inside NIS headquarters, Sam's son shouted into the radio, Hyun Gook, get a hold of yourself. Agents will arrive in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Before a bloodbath. After the insane highway chase, Kang somehow managed to lose both the Black Dragon Society and Room 39. When Sam's son asked for a status update, his answer completely blindsided her. I'm currently playing with a grandma's puppy. Turns out, he had parked his motorcycle nearby, started petting an adorable dachshund, and somehow looked happier than he'd been during the entire mission. Bro went from a 3-way car chase to pet therapy. The confused grandma happily chatted about her life, while the puppy refused to leave Kang alone. Meanwhile, Sam's son was practically screaming through the radio. What about the Black Dragon Society? What about Room 39? Kang calmly explained that nobody was following him anymore. Instead, Director Choi had entered a nearby house, using the body camera footage. Sam's son finally captured the target's face. She also confirmed the building was a secret Room 39 safe house. The author knows exactly why everyone's suddenly paying attention to the briefing. Kang asked what he should do next. Sam's son told him to stay put while headquarters decided the next move. Unfortunately, headquarters never got the chance. Gunfire suddenly erupted from inside the compound. The grandma immediately grabbed her puppy and ran for her life. Outside the gates, Wang Yudong had launched a full-scale assault. He ordered every member of the Black Dragon Society to kill everyone inside and recover the stolen drugs and money. Room 39 guards were cut down almost instantly. Watching everything from the shadows, Kang could only report what he was seeing. The Black Dragon Society is attacking the North Korean safe house. Sam's son couldn't understand why. Neither could Kang. The reason they're fighting is no idea. No idea. Bro is the CEO of creating problems and the intern of solving them. Then reality hit him. If the operation failed, he'd be fired. If he got fired, he'd lose access to the investigation. If he lost the investigation, his buried 2.4 billion would disappear forever. Bro remembered his buried retirement fund and instantly unlocked Ultra Instinct. At that exact moment, Kang made his decision. Pigeon 5 is moving in. Samson almost exploded. He wasn't carrying a weapon. He was walking into an active firefight. What exactly did he plan to fight with? Kang calmly looked down at the abandoned grocery cart the grandma had left behind. A weapon. Grandma just gave it to me. Samson couldn't believe what she was hearing. She thought he intended to fight an entire criminal organization with a grocery bag. Sis still doesn't know the grocery bag is just the tutorial. Kang slowly dragged the shopping cart toward the battlefield, laughing to himself. I have 5 family members to support back in Korea. Being homeless is far worse than hell. Bro's entire power system runs on unemployment anxiety. Then, the impossible happened. One Black Dragon Society member heard something rolling behind him. Before he could react, Kang dropped out of the sky. The grocery cart became an orbital strike. One hit, instant knockout. Then Kang reached into the shopping bag. This is wet dog food. He threw the heavy metal can like a baseball, straight into another thug's face. One can, one unconscious gangster. Bro's inventory looks like he looted Walmart instead of a battlefield. Within minutes, gangsters were dropping all over the safe house. Samson watched the battle reports in complete disbelief. She'd heard stories about people killing with pencils, but groceries, that was a first. Her imagination immediately compared him to John Wick, except instead of a pencil, Kang had previously used a power strip, a frozen fish, and now, dog food. John Wick had a pencil. Our boy has the weekly shopping. While searching the safe house, Kang accidentally discovered the vault. Inside, he found stacks of drugs, cash, and important documents, naturally. He immediately started stuffing everything into the grandma's shopping cart. Then Wang Yudong burst into the room. He shouted for his men to grab the money and drugs. Looking around, Kang suddenly panicked. Wait, the Black Dragon Society wiped out the safe house. Did they destroy his precious buried fortune too? Bro wasn't worried about the dead bodies. He was mourning his bank account. Meanwhile, Director Choi had escaped through a hidden passage. Chinese police were already approaching the compound. As he fled, he spotted a familiar motorcycle parked nearby. The exact motorcycle that had been following him earlier. A smile slowly spread across his face. He immediately ordered one of his agents to attach a tracker to it, because whoever rode that motorcycle would unknowingly lead them straight to the NIS base. Congratulations, bro. You accidentally invented express shipping for your biggest enemy. As Kang sprinted toward his motorcycle, Director Choi silently swore revenge. Tomorrow, he would make everyone pay for this humiliation. After escaping the safe house, Kang was still dragging around the legendary grandma's shopping cart. His only goal now, grab the motorcycle before public security caught him. Right then, a car suddenly pulled up beside him. For one terrifying second, he thought it was the police. Instead, it was Nam Wonbong. He practically dragged Kang into the car, then spent the entire drive yelling at him. Why did he run into an active gunfight by himself? Why was he searching bodies with public security on the way? Kang answered with a smile. He simply wanted to make sure the operation hadn't failed. Bro really filed his own performance review in the middle of a war zone. He explained that he checked every body inside the vault. Director Choi wasn't among them, which meant he escaped through a secret passage, so technically, the operation wasn't over. Nam Wonbong just stared at him. This lunatic really walked into a battlefield, just to confirm that. Then Kang proudly added, the bodies happened to have a lot of useful stuff on them too. Looking at the shopping cart, Nam Wonbong completely gave up. HR just added a brand new category called whatever this guy is. Unfortunately, none of that changed the result. The target escaped, so as far as Wonbong was concerned, the operation had failed. But the second they reached headquarters, everyone was celebrating. Operation success. Wonbong was completely confused. How could that possibly be? Then Ilho threw an arm around Kang and revealed the truth. The original goal wasn't just kidnapping Director Choi, it was gathering intelligence on room 39, and Kang accidentally stole every important device in the vault. Phones, laptops, hard drives, wallets, cash, jewelry, basically everything that wasn't bolted down. Bro didn't loot the room, he looted the save file. Wonbong insisted it was nothing but luck. Bro vacuumed the entire office before leaving. Samson immediately interrupted. She admitted the operation succeeded, but she still recommended disciplinary action. Kang had ignored direct orders, charged into a firefight, and nearly ruined everything. Ilho actually considered it. Then, he looked around the room, raised a glass, and declared, a success was still a success. Everyone should thank Kang instead, just like that. The disciplinary meeting turned into a company dinner. The other agents welcomed Kang. Drinks started flowing. Meat hit the grill. Someone asked where Samsun was. Wonbong sighed. She was analyzing the recovered devices and was probably still sulking because Kang never got punished. Sis filed the disciplinary report before the mission summary. While everyone ate, Ilho proudly unveiled the night's greatest treasure, homemade kimchi, straight from Korea. The entire room exploded with excitement. Even Kang completely lost it. He immediately asked Ilho if they were dating now. Bro got offered homemade kimchi and immediately proposed. For a while, the safe house stopped feeling like an intelligence base. It felt like a family dinner, until the senior agents started arguing again. Wonbong complained that rookies couldn't keep ignoring procedures. Ilho defended Kang. Everyone else just watched the corporate civil war unfold. Kang quietly realized the mood was completely ruined. Bro survived a gunfight just to witness the corporate annual meeting. Eventually, Ilho gave an emotional speech. He praised Kang's patriotism, said he'd risked his life for the mission, and thanked him for protecting the country's future. Meanwhile, Kang was thinking about something completely different, his buried 4 billion won. Only Bro knows this patriotic speech is actually sponsored by 4 billion won. The entire room stood up, applauded him, and started calling him a patriot. Kang awkwardly accepted the praise. Bro accidentally unlocked the national hero ending. The next day, far away, Director Choi received an update. The tracker attached to Kang's motorcycle was moving. He smiled, then ordered every available force to prepare. Today, they would attack the NIS base. After the celebration, Director Choi finally got the signal he'd been waiting for. The tracker on Kang's motorcycle had stopped moving. He immediately ordered every available soldier to mobilize. Meanwhile, Kang and Nam Wonbong had already reached the Black Dragon Society's hideout to begin their surveillance. Before they could even settle in, Room 39 suddenly showed up. Bro's passive ability is accidentally starting international incidents. The North Korean soldiers immediately opened fire, declaring they wouldn't leave anyone alive. Just before the massacre truly began, the story rewinds. 12 hours earlier, back at the NIS safe house, Falcon 7 jokingly asked if the entire mess was Kang's fault. Falcon 6 corrected her instead. It was thanks to him that their team could finally leave. After saying goodbye, everyone regrouped for the second operation. This time, their objective was stopping the Black Dragon Society's drug shipments before they reached South Korea. Using the intelligence Kang recovered, Ilho explained they first needed to locate the gang's headquarters. Before anyone could start planning, Kang casually said he already knew where it was. Bro skipped the investigation arc and loaded a completed save file. The entire room froze. Even the veteran agents couldn't believe a rookie already had the answer when they asked how. Kang simply laughed and said he got lucky during some recent personal intelligence work. A quick flashback reminded everyone that his version of intelligence work included kidnapping people and filming confessions. Bro calls kidnapping and interrogation personal intel work. Khan then spent several minutes explaining the Black Dragon Society's structure, their drug routes, and exactly how the operation should be handled. Everyone quietly started wondering if he'd secretly planted an insider inside the organization. Meanwhile, our boy's intelligence agency is just random crimes with extra steps. Even Ilho couldn't explain it anymore. At this point, luck alone wasn't enough to describe whatever kept happening around Kang. Nam Wonbong just stared at him, trying to understand how one person could accidentally solve every mission. Bro's RNG is violating several international treaties. Satisfied with the briefing, Ilho ordered everyone to move immediately. Kang reminded him he still didn't have his motorcycle, so the plan changed. He and Wonbong would recover the bike first, then begin watching the Black Dragon Society headquarters. Unfortunately, the tracker hidden on that motorcycle started moving. Director Choi immediately noticed. By the time Kang and Wonbong reached the warehouse, Room 39 had already traced the signal there, within seconds. Both criminal organizations started another full-scale gunfight. Kang watched everything unfold, then casually decided the mission had basically solved itself. Bro accidentally solved another mission by doing absolutely nothing. While Wonbong was still trying to process everything, Kang suddenly jumped over the fence and ran straight into the enemy compound. Wonbong completely lost it. Bro treats enemy headquarters like it's a convenience store, certain he'd finally have to discipline this reckless rookie. Wonbong waited outside while complaining to himself. Bro really thought he was still the senior in this relationship. A few moments later, Kang came sprinting back out, dragging 2 massive duffel bags. He immediately ordered Wonbong to help carry the money bags. The second Wonbong heard the word money, his entire personality changed. Bro hit Mach 10 the moment he heard the word money. He grabbed one bag, opened it, and nearly passed out after seeing it packed with stacks of US dollars. Then, he actually started sniffing the cash. After one deep breath, he happily declared he never needed to trade stocks again. Bro just unlocked his financial advisor transformation. Kang screamed at him to stop smelling the money and start moving. Wonbong instantly dropped the tough senior act, started smiling, and apologized for being rude earlier. Bro switched from drill sergeant to sugar daddy in under 3 seconds. Kang revealed there were still 4 more bags waiting inside. Wonbong immediately became completely obedient. When Kang barked another order, he simply replied, "Yes, dear." Money really turned their mentor-student relationship into a marriage speedrun. Just like that, the second operation was finished in a single day. And somehow, Kang had accidentally acquired another 24 billion won from the Black Dragon Society. A few hours earlier, the NIS agents watched the aftermath of the firefight from a distance. Room 39 had won, but whatever they came looking for, they never found it. Kang immediately realized what they wanted: the drugs, the money, and Wang Yudong. The second that thought crossed his mind, he took off running straight into the Black Dragon Society headquarters. More than the money, there was something he cared about even more: Old Man Choi, the man who'd spent 2 years watching over him, the man who gave his life trying to stop drugs from reaching Korea. Kang didn't care who killed Wang Yudong. He just needed to see the body with his own eyes. When he finally reached the boss's office, Wang Yudong was already dead. North Korea had beaten him to it. Kang quietly paid his respects to Old Man Choi, then accepted that his revenge was over. Bro waited his whole revenge arc just to get kill-stealed. Now, only one objective remained. Whatever room 39 failed to find had to still be somewhere inside. Kang searched the office, ignoring the obvious hiding spots. Then something started bothering him. Wang Yudong looked like a guy who'd spend every night drinking himself unconscious. So why was there a giant bookshelf in his office? He imagined the crime boss peacefully reading books with woodland animals surrounding him, then immediately rejected the idea. Bro looked at that face and said, "Nah, this man can't read." The bookshelf was fake. The moment he pulled it aside, a hidden room appeared. Bro found the developer room. Inside were mountains of cash, enough money to make his eyes sparkle. Back at the safe house, Kang casually explained that he flushed all the drugs down the toilet and only brought back the poor, ownerless cash. Bro really adopted $20 million. The entire room froze. Nam Wonbong announced the total, $20 million, around 24 billion won. Kang even suggested splitting it evenly between everyone. The room exploded. Everyone started cheering, throwing Kang into the air like he'd just won the Olympics. Bro just got promoted to Employee of the Century. The celebration immediately turned into a party. Food came out, drinks started flowing, while everyone enjoyed themselves. Kang quietly asked Nam Wonbong how to send the money back to Korea. Wonbong suddenly transformed into the world's nicest financial advisor. He happily recommended a trusted broker, explained the safest laundering route, and warned Kang not to quit the NIS too soon. Bro's financial advisor DLC unlocked the moment he saw the money. Before long, Wonbong leaned over, smiled warmly, and declared they were family now. After all, he just helped Kang make 4 billion won. 4 billion won really healed years of workplace toxicity. Kang smiled on the outside, but internally, he wanted to punch him. The personality change was way too shameless. Bro switched teams faster than a football transfer window. Il-ho then approved moving everyone to a new safe house. Kang happily realized he'd solved another major problem. He had a new base, a money laundering route, and enough cash to retire several times over. Then reality hit him. He'd voluntarily split 24 billion won with everyone else. Bro unlocked enlightenment, then immediately remembered the other 20 billion. The emotional damage was too much. Kang grabbed a bottle of soju, started crying, and screamed about his money. Therapists fear this one simple coping mechanism, crying into a bottle over 20 billion won. After the second operation, life at the NIS safe house finally calmed down. Well, almost. Sam soon had officially reached her limit. She demanded to be deployed into the field. If Kang, another pigeon agent, could keep going on missions, why couldn't she? Il-ho simply laughed, then called her our princess. Bro chose the worst possible dialogue option. Sam soon immediately exploded. She argued she'd trained harder than anyone. Her shooting had improved, her combat skills had improved, yet every single request ended with the same answer: later. Il-ho finally became serious. He explained that intelligence work wasn't about following the perfect plan. Sometimes, the people who survived were the ones who stayed calm when everything went wrong. He compared it to walking a tightrope. Most agents barely kept their balance. Meanwhile, Kang somehow sat on the rope like it was a park bench. That wasn't simple luck, it was talent. Bro's strategy is 5% planning and 95% surviving the consequences. Sam soon still wasn't convinced, frustrated. She accidentally mentioned Il-ho's late sister. The room instantly fell silent. Realizing she'd crossed the line, she quietly apologized, then left. After everyone was gone, Il-ho pulled a small locket from around his neck. Inside was a picture of his sister. He sat alone, silently remembering her. Later, Kang returned to his old safe house one final time. After cleaning up every trace of living there, he finally retrieved the one thing he'd been dreaming about, his buried money. Opening the trunk, he lovingly greeted the briefcase like an old friend. After everything it had been through, it was finally back where it belonged. Bro reunited with his long-distance relationship. After digging up his hidden 2.4 billion won, he added the 4 billion from the previous mission, 6.4 billion won. Even after paying the broker's fee, he'd still receive around 4 billion. Bro started doing mental math faster than a calculator. Kang couldn't stop himself. He rubbed his face against the briefcase, completely mesmerized. Bro's love language is compound interest. Still, money could wait. He carefully scrubbed every floor, every surface, every fingerprint, making absolutely sure nobody could connect him to the apartment. Bro's fingerprint removal has a higher budget than most crime shows. Just then, someone started pounding on the door. Kang froze. Nobody should have known he was here. Peeking outside, he recognized Boss Hio, the neighborhood real estate owner. Thinking it was harmless, Kang opened the door with a smile and welcomed him inside. Bro invited the plot twist into his own apartment. Boss Hio casually inspected the room, asked when Kang planned to move out, then quietly repeated one phrase, "Erasing your traces." Before Kang could react, a pistol appeared. Boss Hio calmly aimed it straight at him. Kang immediately raised both hands, pretending not to understand what was happening, while secretly trying to close the distance. Boss Hio stopped him immediately. One more step, and he'd shoot. He even explained exactly why. He already knew Kang could disarm someone at close range. That was when Kang realized this wasn't an ordinary landlord. Boss Hio warned him that one gunshot, or one press of his radio, would bring special forces crashing into the apartment. Keeping perfectly calm, Kang finally asked the only question that mattered. "Who are you affiliated with?" Boss Hio lowered his pistol slightly, smiled, then answered, "The MSS, China's Ministry of State Security, one of the country's most powerful counterintelligence agencies." Stepping closer, he looked Kang directly in the eyes, then made one final promise he was about to make him, an offer he couldn't refuse. Boss Hio lowered his gun slightly, then finally revealed his offer. From now on, Kang would report everything he did every week and pay 10,000 yuan every month. The moment Kang did the math, his soul nearly left his body. 2 million won every month. Bro wasn't scared of the gun. He was scared of the subscription fee. Refusing wasn't really an option. If he said no, he'd either get shot or disappear into an MSS interrogation room forever. Still, losing 2 million won every month hurt almost as much. After thinking it over, Kang reached his final decision. He bowed his head and immediately started bargaining. "Please, just take off 1 million won." Bro started negotiating before negotiating was even an option. Boss Hio stared at him in complete disbelief. Who starts negotiations by asking for a 50% discount? Kang defended himself. He was just a low-level NIS employee. His salary was tiny. Boss Hio explained the money wasn't even for him. It had to be passed up the chain of command. Kang looked completely innocent, then asked why he had to pay for the pensions of Chinese old men. Bro accidentally declared war on the retirement system. Completely fed up, Boss Hio finally explained everything. This wasn't simple extortion. The MSS wanted to register Kang as one of their human assets. Kang couldn't believe what he was hearing. Using another country's intelligence agent as an informant. Boss Hio calmly explained that Dandong wasn't normal. More than 30 countries already had intelligence operations there. If terrorist organizations were included, the number became even higher. Kang slowly looked around in horror. Was everyone in this city either a spy or a terrorist? Bro moved into the world's most competitive neighborhood. Boss Hio assured him of one thing: if the MSS protected him on Chinese soil, his chances of surviving would increase dramatically. Kang thought about it. He still had to work for the NIS. Nobody knew how many years he'd remain in Dandong. Having China's own intelligence agency protecting him would make retirement much easier. His imagination immediately skipped ahead to a peaceful future. A beach, money, no more life-threatening missions. Bro accepted espionage because the retirement package looked solid. He happily agreed to the deal, instead of shaking hands. Boss Hio offered him a gift, his motorcycle, the same one he'd abandoned during the previous operation. The license plate had already been replaced. The GPS tracker had been removed. Everything had been cleaned up. Best signing bonus in intelligence history. Kang acted completely surprised. A tracker. My license plate was exposed. Boss Hio burst into laughter. He praised Kang's incredible acting. Bro accidentally won Best Actor without knowing the script. Then, he revealed why the MSS had come looking for him in the first place. According to Boss Hio, Kang had orchestrated everything: the gas station battle, the conflict between Room 39 and the Black Dragon Society. Even exposing the motorcycle's license plate had supposedly been part of one giant master plan, using nothing but a motorcycle. Kang had manipulated two powerful organizations into destroying each other. He dismantled their drug smuggling operation without sacrificing his own people. Boss Hyo admired him like he was standing before an elite mastermind. Bro's motorcycle has a higher kill count than most action protagonists. Kang quietly turned away. His shoulders started shaking. Boss Hyo smiled proudly. He assumed Kang was desperately trying to suppress an evil laugh. Finally, Kang covered his face, grinned, and admitted, "You really caught me completely. Little does Bro know, the only classified secret he didn't uncover is the missing 4 billion won. Boss Hyo couldn't have been happier. He believed he'd successfully recruited the NIS's greatest tactician. Meanwhile, Kang was only relieved that nobody had discovered his stolen fortune. By the end of the meeting, both men walked away completely satisfied. Boss Hyo believed he'd recruited a legendary strategist. Kang believed he'd successfully protected the biggest secret of his life. Both sides left the meeting convinced they completely outplayed the other. After making a deal with the MSS, Kang finally took some leave and returned to South Korea. The broker had done exactly what he promised. 2 billion won had already been delivered to a private storage locker. Another 400 million arrived as clean cash. And the remaining 3 billion had safely reached Kang's Hong Kong account. Seeing everything exactly where it belonged, he couldn't have been happier. Then, carrying the bag of cash, he finally went home. The moment he opened the front door, Gain froze. For a second, she couldn't believe her eyes. It had been over 2 years. Kang smiled warmly, told her she'd become much prettier, and said he'd missed her. Gain slowly walked toward him, then slapped him across the face, hard. She wasn't angry because he'd left. She was angry because he'd disappeared without a single message. For 2 whole years, nobody knew whether he was alive or dead. When she tried to hit him again, Kang grabbed both of her wrists, not because he wanted to fight back, but because the first slap already hurt enough. Eventually, Gain couldn't hold it in anymore. She burst into tears. She'd spent 2 years waiting for him to come home. Kang quietly apologized and hugged her for him. Gain wasn't just family. She'd been abandoned at an orphanage when she was only 3. Both of them had grown up without parents. She'd followed him everywhere ever since they first met. As they grew older, they built a family together, one younger sibling at a time. Everything Kang had been doing, every dangerous mission, every crazy gamble, was for them. After calming down, Gain finally noticed the bruises covering Kang's face. She joked that he looked like life had beaten him up. Bro came home looking like life collected interest. Then she excitedly tried calling the other siblings home early. Everyone had missed him, but Kang stopped her. He couldn't stay. He only came back to deliver something before leaving the country again. Gain immediately picked up a frying pan. If the gift wasn't amazing, she looked fully prepared to use it. Kang smiled, opened the duffel bag, and revealed 400 million won in cash. He proudly told her it was all hers if she ever needed it. Bro really thought cash was the perfect apology gift. Gain burst into tears again, then immediately grabbed him and told him they should go turn himself in. Kang froze. Apparently, showing up after 2 years with a giant bag full of cash wasn't exactly reassuring. Bro expected tears of gratitude and got a free prison consultation instead. She desperately tried to figure out what illegal job he'd gotten himself into. When Kang refused to explain because of company secrecy, her imagination completely spiraled. Voice phishing, illegal gambling, then illegal webtoon sites. Sis went through the entire criminal starter pack before finding the right answer. That one finally offended Kang. He shouted that webtoon piracy was basically stealing creators' livelihoods. There was absolutely no way he'd ever do something like that. Bro can survive gunfights, but webtoon piracy is where he draws the line. Eventually, he gently reassured her. The money was clean, he'd earned enough to retire. Once a few more years passed, and everything was safe. He wanted everyone to live together happily. Unfortunately, Gain completely misunderstood. Her face turned bright red. She thought he was proposing. Sis skipped about 12 relationship chapters in 5 seconds. Kang immediately listed the names of all their younger siblings. He meant the whole family, not just the 2 of them. Gain's entire fantasy collapsed instantly. Bro accidentally friend-zoned someone who wasn't even confessing. She sighed, then muttered that lifelong singles were hopeless. Kang immediately fired back, "So are you." The room fell completely silent. 1 second later, another slap echoed through the entire neighborhood. The romance arc lasted exactly 1 panel. Kang had returned home, brought hundreds of millions of won, survived countless life and death missions, and still lost the final battle. Bro returned home with billions of won and still lost the boss fight. A month passed, which meant it was finally time for Kang's first payment to the MSS. 10,000 yuan, hand-delivered, straight into Boss Hyo's pocket. Boss Hyo happily accepted the money, thanked him, and even said he hoped they'd work together for a long time. Kang forced out the most painful smile imaginable. Meanwhile, his wallet quietly died. Bro's monthly subscription just auto-renewed. After collecting both the cash and Kang's latest intelligence reports, Boss Hyo finally decided to give something back. He casually asked if Kang had seen Boss Jin lately, the old hardware store owner. When Kang said no, Boss Hyo dropped a bombshell. Boss Jin wasn't just a grumpy neighborhood shopkeeper, he was actually a high-ranking executive in the Triads. Kang nearly choked on his food. The same old man who complained about parking was one of the biggest gangsters in the city. Bro's neighborhood has a lower civilian population than a Call of Duty lobby. Boss Hyo explained that Dandong wasn't a place where friendships lasted forever. Today's ally could become tomorrow's enemy. His entire job was maintaining balance between every criminal and intelligence organization in the city. Whenever one faction became too powerful, he simply cut them down, like trimming fingernails. Bro's friendship policy updates every patch. Then, he casually told Kang to inform him immediately if he ever met Boss Jin again. He refused to explain why. Information had to stay balanced. Kang immediately became suspicious. Why tell him this? Was the MSS trying to manipulate him again? What exactly was Boss Hyo planning this time? Bro's trust issues just unlocked another skill tree. Before leaving, Kang asked one final question. If his life was ever truly in danger, would Boss Hyo warn him? Boss Hyo smiled. Of course, because he wanted Kang to stay alive for a very long time, back at his new safe house. Kang finally thought he'd get a chance to rest. He barely settled into his new base when an emergency message arrived. Report immediately. Mission starts tomorrow. Kang looked at the notification and quietly questioned every career choice he'd ever made. Bro ordered fried chicken and got overtime instead. The next day, he arrived at the Dalian safe house. Instead of a serious mission briefing, Nam Wonbong greeted him wearing an apron, holding an enormous pot of Polak stew. Apparently, dinner came first. Forget the mission, Bro logged into MasterChef. Everyone sat down to eat. Wonbong happily poured Kang another drink. The atmosphere couldn't have been warmer, until Kang accidentally called him senior. Wonbong slammed the table, started yelling, and reminded Kang that they'd moved beyond that. After all, Kang had given him 4 billion won. That officially made them brothers. 4 billion won is still carrying this entire friendship. Wonbong even assigned everyone family nicknames. Brother Song, Oh, Brother Song Pal. Whether Kang liked it or not, he'd apparently been adopted into another family. Bro keeps collecting families like Pokemon as they continue drinking. Kang casually mentioned that he planned to retire once all the money laundering was finished. Bro says money laundering with the same energy people say finishing college. Wonbong then quietly shared his own story. His mother had raised him alone. Everything he'd learned about cooking, especially Polak stew, came from helping her at the family restaurant. Now, thanks to the money Kang helped him earn, he could finally retire. He could go home and let his mother live comfortably after 6 long years apart. Kang was stunned. 6 years. He thought everyone rotated home much sooner. Wonbong and the others simply shrugged. 4, 5, 6 years overseas. That was normal. Some agents waited even longer. Bro thought this was a business trip. Turns out it's a full career. Kang slowly remembered the previous operative. Pigeon 4, he asked. Did Pigeon 4 ever make it back to Korea? The room instantly fell silent. Nobody answered. After dinner, the older agents stepped outside together, standing on the balcony. They quietly talked about Pigeon 4. They admitted he used to constantly ask everyone to drink together. Back then, they'd always brushed him off. Now, one of them could only regret it. He wished they'd shared those drinks while they still had the chance. Nam Wonbong quietly insisted they were never close, that there'd never been any affection between them. But the silence that followed said far more than his words ever could. And that's a wrap, homies. Hope you enjoyed the ride. Drop your thoughts below and hit subscribe for more spicy recaps. Till next time, sayonara.